Okay.
Okay, so we're going to do Grandpa.
Both of them separately.
Okay, so who are we doing first?
We'll do Grandpa first.
Okay.
Okay.
Don't look at me.
Look at.
Because this is the roving camera.
Okay.
Look at Mum.
That's fine. All right. Tell me about what brought you to Australia. What year and what was behind the decision making?
Well, when we were in Germany, my father was always working for himself, had businesses, and we had first after the war he had a shoe manufacturing business, and then when the bigger factories, he made handmade shoes, and as long as the bigger factories didn't make any shoes, there was no big factories, shoe manufacturing factories, he did all right. We had a workshop, we had quite a number of people working, and we had machinery and everything for manufacturing of shoes, but mostly just handmade shoes. But when the big factories started, like Salamander and Bata and all these sort of people, they mass-produced the shoes, in which he couldn't compete anymore, and his business just went down. So we started another business. We made ties. We made a tie factory. Started the same way. Started off very well. We used to sell 1,000 ties a day, per day. Can you believe it? A lot of ties. So we had a few people working, and then here again the same thing happened. When the big factory started, they sold it cheaper, more selection, more everything, and we went out of business, and we were getting a bit tired, finding new business to get into all the time. So I said to my father, why don't we just pack up and we go to another country? But before we decided to come to Australia, in 1956 we applied to go to Canada. We had visas, tickets, everything, and just days before our departure, my father got sick and had to go to hospital, had an operation, and afterwards we never reapplied or asked for new tickets or an extension or anything like that. So it's just 56 till about 59, and about 58, end of 58 or early 59, we applied for immigration to Australia, and we got everything ready, and we left to come to Australia in December, I think it was 20th of December 1959. So we arrived in Australia on 26th of January 1960. And that's how it came about, okay, from trying to go into business. And the same thing happened here. We started our own business. At first it went okay, and then it caught up with us here. We did the same thing here. We went and manufactured shoes, and it went very, very well for a while. And then when the bigger factories started to manufacture shoes, we lost the entire business. But when my father arrived, he worked in a shoe factory first, and then he started to make shoes himself. And we used to sell the shoes at the markets.
What markets?
This is where Paddy's markets are today.
At Haymarket?
At Haymarket.
Haymarket, but not where the Haymarket markets, where the Paddy's market is today.
Where Chinatown
stands. Where the entertainment centre is located, right on that spot where the entertainment centre is today. That's where Paddy's market used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What had you heard about Australia, or what did you know about Australia to choose between Canada and Australia as your country of choice?
We had a look at Canada, Australia, South Africa, and Argentina. Well, Argentina, that didn't appeal to me. America didn't appeal to me either. Canada was a little bit too cold, frankly. So when it fell through, we discussed it, and I said, it's too cold over there. And then what's left is only Australia left.
But it was only because your father had a burst appendix.
Yeah, at the time, yeah.
What was it called? Peritonitis?
Peritonitis.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he was very sick.
He was very sick, yeah.
He nearly died.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well...
So it was Providence.
Maybe we weren't meant to go to Canada, frankly.
Mm.
So, but But Australia's better anyway.
What had you heard about Australia?
I hadn't heard anything. The only thing that I had was a little book that we had from geography, a geography book, and it had. I'm not sure whether I still got that book today.
No, I don't think so. No, you don't.
I think we brought it to Australia, but I don't know who's finished up with the book. Maybe Giles got it, or I remember that book. It had some Harbour Bridge in it, for instance. I remember that, yeah. And it had a description about Australia, and I read a little bit about it, you know. And we decided to come to Australia. And here we are.
And are you glad you made that decision in the end, or that
I think so.
decision was
Yeah, I
made
think
for
so,
you?
yeah. I think it's a good place. Maybe not as good as now as it was then when we arrived. I think it was a very, very good country then. Nowadays, I think we're going down the gurgler fast, frankly. And I think things are going to get a lot harder here. A lot harder, you know.
When were you actually born?
Hmm?
When were you born?
I was born on the 30th of July 1939 in Gostilia, Bulgaria. My father was German and my mother was Bulgarian. We were what we called Volksdeutsche, of German descent through my father. And in 1941, the German army came and evacuated us back to the fatherland. Why they came and evacuated us, I
They gave you a choice, didn't they? They gave your parents a choice.
Well, they gave us a choice. We could go or we could not go, but if we don't go, then we have to...
Become citizens.
No, I don't know whether we have to become citizens, but if we didn't go, then we took our chances, because what happens is that when the communists come, they expected that they would either kill Germans
Oh, right, okay.
or take them as prisoners or forced labour or what have you, okay? This is what came to happen. I don't know, I mean, they didn't evacuate all Germans that lived in the Eastern Territories, only some. So why they came to us in a little village in Bulgaria to evacuate us escapes me, frankly. I have an idea that I discussed, but I don't know whether it holds water. Okay, it's just a theory that I have about the family history. There's a little bit more behind it than we really think.
And that's another story.
That is another story for another episode. Okay. Okay.
Mum,
Yes.
But basically, before we came here, of course, we were evacuated to Germany, and I was educated in Germany, went to school in Germany, and so on. We came to a camp in Walchensee. We only stayed there for maybe a month or 2 months or 3
from
months.
Bulgaria?
From Bulgaria to Walchensee. That was a camp.
What year?
That was in 1941. Actually, it must have been about May or June month, because it was kind of warm. It was warm, yeah. And then from Walchensee, my father got a job.
Can I correct you there?
Yeah.
Wasn't Joe already born?
Joe was...
Oh no, he wasn't. I'm sorry.
He wasn't born, no, he was 45.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Now from Walchensee, then my father got a job in Kochel, which is the next town down. Kochel am See. This is in Allgäu, in Deutschland, in Germany. And strangely enough, when we arrived this is another one of those mysteries, okay? I have an explanation, but that's just, I have an explanation. The thing is that there was a man. How old was my father then? He might have been in his 30s, 40s or something, okay? They were fighting on all fronts. They were desperate for soldiers. All my uncles, when they came back from Bulgaria, none of them was put back in the army. This was unheard of. Everyone else that I knew, everybody was conscripted back into the army as soon as they arrived. As a matter of fact, they wouldn't even have made it to Germany. They would have already taken them and put them in uniform there.
Mm.
So that in itself is a bit of a mystery. Why would they have a young man when everyone else is battling and they're getting killed left, right and centre all over the place, and he was working here, you know, like wasn't even hassled, wasn't even asked, nothing, not a thing.
And Kochel was in Bavaria?
Is in Bavaria in an area called Allgäu. This is like a district called Allgäu. And from there, some of my relatives went to Tranreuth in those days already. And then from there we went actually to Hasvoning and then from Hasvoning we stayed there maybe for a year or two, something like that. And then we went to Tranreuth and that's where we stayed until we came to Australia. And all my relatives, not all the relatives, some of the relatives, when we came from Bulgaria, some of them went to Bavaria and the other ones went to up Hanover.
Stop.
And that's
Stop the noise.
It's Bingy.
She's a troublemaker, isn't she?
No, right back. Sorry. It's Bingy. Can you hear it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, everything.
You should work on TV, you know.
Yeah, don't you think?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because not too many of them know what they're doing.
Start our own production company, don't you?
Advise the ABC all the time.
Oh, yes.
It's embarrassing how little they know.
It's not embarrassing.
Is it
They don't
big?
know anything.
Okay, was this about? Oh, really?
So Philip, if you can try to remember not to rub your pants too much because that's all coming
It
through.
reflects-
Is it? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Also, talking about Grandpa being a kid during the war.
About what? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, should we do that now? Or?
Nobody
Yeah.
got killed there.
Are you
You
only
do
doing
that.
it tomorrow?
Do that now. While you're on his side, do his.
Because we can always do Grandma another day.
Mine
Yeah.
is very short.
I want to add while she's in these clothes
Yeah.
where she was from and when she came here. Like it is pretty short,
It is very short.
but his childhood in Germany is for something else anyway. So,
Alright.
oh.
Still running.
Okay, so we go to Mum.
Yep.
Where were you born?
I was born in a town called Jever in North Germany. It's northern Germany, isn't it?
Yes.
And
Near
Wilhelmshaven.
Wilhelmshaven.
And on the 11th of October 1945.
So just at the end of the war.
Just at the end of the war, yes.
Oh.
But the war was already over. The
Yeah.
war finished in May 1945.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
it was
Yeah.
8th of May, I think the war finished.
And when did you come to Australia and what were the circumstances?
Okay, I came to Australia in 1951. I came across with the Red Cross because apparently my mother was already here with her second husband. And for myself to come to Australia, I had to be adopted.
How old were you at that
I was 6.5 when I arrived, and but my stepfather had to adopt me, otherwise I could not come to Australia, although my mother was here. So, yes.
And where had you been living? Who was taking care of you if your mother was here?
I was in an orphanage with the rest of my siblings.
And where was that orphanage?
That was Schillig. So I had 2 brothers and a sister. We were all...
Where is that located in relation to Jever?
That is in the North Sea.
What is If it's on the North Sea.
Yeah, but the Shillik is an island
Ah.
in the North Sea. It's just off the coast.
Mm-hmm.
It's a chain of islands that go across.
Towards Holland.
Towards Holland, yeah. And thus it's called Ostfriesland. Okay? And yeah, so we were in an orphanage. I was 18 months old when I first entered the orphanage. Not an orphanage, a children's home. With my two brothers and sister. We were taken away from our mother. And yeah.
Why were you taken away from your mother?
Well,
I mean, it's unnatural.
well, apparently while she was going with my stepfather, and because he was Yugoslav, it was not the appropriate thing done. But she left us with a 14-year-old girl from the farmhouse, from where apparently we had all lived, Bauernhof. And she asked the daughter of the people to look after us while she went to see Dusan Ivičić for his birthday, which his birthday is actually the 28th of August. And so she wanted to surprise him. So she left us with this 14-year-old. But it wasn't the first time she had left us. But I don't know how many times she had left us. I don't know. But apparently when she had left us that time, the farmer's wife had reported her for leaving us 4 children with her 14-year-old daughter, and they just came and they took us away. Took us to the children's home.
It's sounds so strict in those days, I tell you.
What did Oma do when she found out? Do you know?
She well, this
She
is
probably left you there.
no, this no, this is only going by hearsay now. Okay, I really don't know, but apparently what she did tell me, she tried to get us back. So she went to the home, and apparently it was very traumatic for. I think I was too young to have. I don't know, I'm not too sure, but I know my youngest brother, Karl-Heinz, he was traumatised by it because he was mother's boy, you know, that was it. And so she tried to get us children out, but they wouldn't. They told her not to come again because the children were too traumatised by her coming. They couldn't leave and all this, you know, yeah. And so yeah, we were there, and I was there till I was 6, just over 6, 6.5, nearly 6.5.
Do you remember anything about your passage to Australia?
What ship were you on?